All right. Hey. Hey, I'm a celebrity. You guys are like, Tom. I was like, okay. You know what I love, Mr. Pesky? I love the smell. Oh, guitars, they smell so good. And for me, smells are like the number one memory trigger. Like, smell like, sometimes they smell like the cabin we used to have up in Michigan, and because a pine cabin and everything. So everybody's saying hi to Diane and Keith and David and Kathy, and what about me? You guys totally ignoring me. Oh, okay. Commercial. Dang it. That's funny. Hey, I forgot you guys get a commercial sometimes. It's crazy. So I just like literally 15 minutes ago got a text from my daughter saying that her two roommates tested positive for COVID. She's been quarantined with them for the last 2 weeks. She was like, "Yay, quarantine's over," and then they get tested and they've got it, and it's like, dang it. So one of her roommates is the only one with symptoms. The other one doesn't have any symptoms. Emma's not been tested. The other two, they were in the Dominican Republic. They were missionaries, and they came in, and because she flew in from California as well, they all quarantined together. And like I said, I think I've already had it. I can't wait for the antibody test, although that opens a can of worms. It makes me a little nervous because I'm afraid they're going to say something like, "Well, you can only go back to work if you've been tested and have this card or this bracelet or this chip in your arm or this tattoo on your forehead or this star on your coat." I'm just like, no, my daughter was in quarantine because she flew back to school to Missouri, Joplin, Missouri. And they basically said, yeah, you need to be in quarantine for 2 weeks after coming from California flying on a plane. And so what they did was they had another family that needed to be quarantined too because they were coming in from the Dominican Republic. And so they all quarantined together, and then her quarantine was over. Like the 14-day period was over, and at the end of that, they got tested and found out that 2 of the 3 of them had it. Well, Emma didn't get tested because she didn't come from out of the country, but they tested the 2 roommates. So, okay, no worries, David. We'll see you in a few minutes. So she's fine. She's asymptomatic. I have a great thing. I'm going to post it right now on that somebody posted on Facebook. It's just a great list of things to think about, and if you think you're getting it, some really good tips. One is, and I've pretty much done this my whole life because it never made sense to take, if you were sick or something and you had a fever, it never really made a lot of sense to take aspirin because the fever serves a purpose. And if you mitigate the fever by taking aspirin, you're not letting it do its job. And so basically this guy kind of says that, if you get up to 103, then you kind of have to, because you got to protect everything. Your brain can fry or whatever. But I may post this thing on the on my Facebook page so we can check it out later. But it's like 8 really good tips, and just ones I'd never really thought of before too. So it's by a doctor, I think, and I do have a friend that's an ER doctor in Pasadena, at the big hospital in Pasadena, and he calls and checks up on me. I'm like, dude, I should be calling you and checking up on you. I don't know how he does it, but I'm kind of the opinion, and I'm not hearing anybody else say this, but I think there's a very large percentage of the population that just can't get it. They may not even be asymptomatic. They may not even be. You could drink it and not come down with it somehow. And the only reason I say that is because the Diamond Princess had 3,811 people on board, and I think have they? I don't know if the Diamond Princess yet has docked yet, but but they tested everybody on that thing, and only 17% of those people had tested positive. Of 3,800 people, only 11 died from it, and so 83% didn't get it. And now they're all self quarantining in the rooms, or they were. That's got to be just the worst. Those rooms are so tiny. And I've never taken a cruise. I've just have never an interest in it, and this is part of the reason. And the thing is, you're sharing air because they recycle the air. You're sharing hand railings, pools, jacuzzis, elevator buttons. You're passing plates around. You're sitting at tables with 8 people or whatever, 10 people, and and so. Oh, oh, you watched the play. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I forgot they did that. Um, yeah, I didn't see that. I've seen it before, obviously. Um, I've played for it. Didn't play for it. I haven't played for it in years. Uh, Come on. What's the deal? Oh, it's got to load. Okay. Sorry, I'm just loading the sound. Okay. So, let's see. Well, we got 30 people already. That's all right. Hey, Gary. Hey, Pepper, Diane, Kathy. God bless you. But yeah, I do think that there's a good percentage of people that just plain can't get it. There's a whole ton of people that are going to be asymptomatic. I wasn't asymptomatic. I actually feel like, well, I never got tested, but I feel like I had it. I'm pretty sure Alex had it. He traveled to Washington back when it was just getting started in Washington. He flew up there, did a gig, and came back and was really, really sick with a high fever and a bad cough. And the doctor didn't test him for it because it wasn't really a thing that anybody was testing for. And he wasn't they were only really testing people that were coming from overseas and that were, oh, I touched my face, guys. So, sip. Cheers. They were only testing people that came from out of the country or that were really old or, at risk. So anybody like Alex, they wouldn't test because they didn't want to waste a test on him. And then I think he gave it to me and I had completely different symptoms. But what's interesting is I just read of a symptom yesterday and they're calling it fizzing, Fizzing. And yeah, well, that's yeah, and you would put an M before the 2 also. Delzona, yes, you can think of that way too. We kind of are getting that. I kind of mentioned that yesterday. But I didn't want to confuse things by saying perfect fourth and perfect fifth and major minor. We could talk about interval theory a little bit and inversions of intervals. That's really more like a music theory class, like ear training, things like that. But anyway, so fizzing is one of the new symptoms that people are starting to talk about. And so my symptoms were lower intestinal issues. I was losing weight, not hungry. Had no energy, and I had anemia a couple of years ago, and so it was very much like that. Like I'd get 8 hours of sleep, and I'd wake up and I'd just be exhausted. I wake up like I didn't sleep at all, and so that it lasted about 10 days, and I had a fever 99 for about 7 days. Never got any higher than that I noticed. I was still able to work, but boy, it was like really, really difficult. It was like trudging up hill with heavy boots and snow and all that. Let's see, there was something else, but the fizzing thing and what they're talking about is like, it sounds like they're describing some different things like the skin sensitivity. Mine, but then somebody said, yeah, I felt like I had anxiety and I wasn't anxious. I was like, I just felt like my chest was trembling, like under the skin. It was like trembling. It was the weirdest symptom. And then all of a sudden, yes, I read an article where there's people are calling it fizzing. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have the antibodies. I would love to get tested so I know, but okay. So let's see, we're about 10 minutes in and we got quite a bit done yesterday. AJ did some more diagrams. I've still got, I don't think AJ's here yet. Is he? Kathy, is AJ here? He's not said anything if he is. I don't see him in here, but he's been gosh, what a faithful guy. He must be really bored because he's been doing, he's calling himself my unofficial scribe. And so he's been creating these documents that look a lot better than these things. And so I'm just kind of correcting them when I have a chance. And hey, Jim Cavell. Hey, Jim, how you feeling? We were going to FaceTime, but I was trying to FaceTime him this morning. Jim's like my best friend in the world. He's my only friend. But Jim is really is got a fever right now. So we're very okay. Good. I'm glad you're feeling good. We're going to talk about chord theory, and Jim's a film composer that I've worked for 30 years now, and we've done all sorts of stuff, and we do music for TV together. When I tell you about I'm writing music for TV, that's with Jim. He's my co-conspirator, and we work on all sorts of things together. A lot of fun stuff we've done through the years. And so yesterday we got quite a bit done. I feel like what we did. I'm going to hold this up. This is yesterday's work that we did. So if you want to do a screenshot, one with my face and one without my face. Okay. And that we have to tell you, everybody, we have 4 rules to our drinking game. If I touch my face, which we're not supposed to be doing, if I refer to myself in the third person, which I only do when I feel like you guys need a drink, generally, I never refer to myself in the. If I ever say I had a band in high school called, and the newest one is if I grab a guitar and I don't realize it's in a different tuning and I think it's normal tuning and I play and I'm like, why does this sound funny? That if I'm unaware of a tuning, then then you get to take a drink. So yeah, Bruce, you all are my best friends. Yeah. So Jim, we've got quite a crew over here that have been very faithful. This is day 25. I've been doing this for 25 days. We just found out, I think yesterday, the day before, my wife is livid that LA County or LA City, which I'm part of both, is on shutdown till May 15th. And my question is, are they going to put blockades up on the 118 freeway to keep people from going to Ventura County on May 1st to get haircuts? Because that's what's going to happen if Ventura County doesn't follow suit. But the shutdown continues. So we may, it depends on what the rest of the country is doing, because some of you are in California, but most of you are outside of California. Kathy, you're in Michigan. Ab, I'm not sure where you're from. Your name betrays, anxiety definitely has that. It's weird. I've had anxiety before, don't get me wrong, but that's not what I was feeling. I think it was the fizzing. Fizzing, that's a thing. I don't know. 1 month for bar chords, exactly. Well, we're going to be doing bar chords today. And in some ways, we're going to do ones that are actually really, really minimalistic in a way. We're going to be doing 2-note bar chords. We're going to be basically playing bars to get 2 notes. We're going to talk about that. So yesterday we wrote, like we did for C, we wrote a 2-octave G chord, G major scale. We used our formula, the whole half, whole half, and we created this. And then we put the little carets above the half steps. And then we wrote under there 1 through 15. And that's, like I said, that's when some light bulbs probably went off when we realized, oh, we're going 1, 3, 5, 7. Oh, that's a 7th chord. So wait a minute. If we go to 9, is that a 9th chord? Yes. If we go to 11, is that an 11th chord? Yes. If we go to 13, is that a 13th chord? Yes. Now, of course, if we add all that up, it's 7 notes. We can't play 7 notes on a 6-stringed instrument. But when we talk about 13th chords, and we will, and I don't want you to be scared. So, Ab, did you ever say where you're from? Are you avoiding that answer? Or are you Toronto? Maybe you were in Toronto. I can't remember. Somebody's in Toronto. I know that. Pepper's in Alabama. I'm having a Jim's down the street. Bruce, I don't know where you are. So anyway, then what we did was we started stacking thirds, and we learned that a major third is 2 whole steps, and a minor third is either a whole step and a half step or a half step and a whole step. And we started to analyze the same thing we did in C, and we determined that exactly like C, and somebody, I forget who it was, sent me Chris. I don't see Chris on here. Christopher was sending me his sheet so that I could grade it. And he was putting the triangle kind of in too many places. So we have G triangle major, G major 7, A minor 7, B minor 7, C major 7, D7 or D dominant 7, E minor 7, and then what I call a minor 7 flat 5, F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Okay. And that is the 7 chord. You could also call that half diminished. If we were in a classical context, I would. Most every other context, we'd use the term flat 7 or minor 7 flat 5. Okay. So that's kind of how we caught up. And then this was the analysis. These were the 4 naturally occurring 7th chords in a major scale. Okay. So then what we did, like what we did in C, we wrote a G major scale on the bottom string like that. So we just wrote whole step, half step. You can play it with your first finger. It doesn't really matter. Then what we did was we started on the next string down and started on the B note of the scale, which is the 3rd of the scale. And of course, if we flash back to our modes lessons, which modes started, I think, on day 13 to, I don't remember. I actually have that out. I can look at it. Let me check it out and see if I can find it. Modes started on, lesson 13. Well, I can remember that. So if you go back to lesson 13, you can learn about modes. I taught for 35 years this modes lesson that I really like. I would love to record it. This was a really good way to teach it because I could get that feedback, which is really what I want. But I would love to do a video of it just to have up there. But anyway, you can still watch it. Go back to day 13 and watch those. I think it's 4 lessons. But my point being that if you start on B and play all the notes in a G scale, that's a B Phrygian scale. So then what I had you do was play thirds. So we basically harmonized the G major scale by playing a G major scale starting on B above it, the 3rd. 1, 2, 3. And then what we did was we took that up to the 10th. So we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we ended up with a 10th, what's called a 10th, which is the same note as the 3rd, but just an octave above. And we created what I think are more musical, like the song Love Yourself by Justin Bieber, and Ed Sheeran wrote it. It's just tenths. Blackbird's tenths. There was a song I played it's a song by Muse that also uses tenths. It's just beautiful. I love tenths. It's just really nice and wide. 2 notes, very, very simple. And you can really hear the major and minor tonality. Okay, so we did that. So now, and that's these 2. And again, I'm not a big fan of how this looks. Like I said, AJ has been doing diagrams that look much better. Copyright infringement. I know, right? Well, what I'll do, I'm tired of fighting YouTube on these things. I will cut that out. I'll just go ahead and do it. They make it real easy for me to cut that section out. I'm still waiting to hear. I'm still waiting to hear about the copyright infringement. I protested this one where I played a 500-year-old piece on our live stream. Remember that when we were talking about the Louis Milan piece? I was playing it for you, and they gave me a copyright infringement. It said Spanish Antiques claims it's theirs. So I looked up the publishing company that's was fighting, that claimed it, and I'm like, these guys work with all these killer tracks and all these companies that make music for TV and for all sorts of different things. And I'm like, shoot. So they literally tried to copyright a 500-year-old piece. I'm just like, that's ridiculous. So why call it a tenth when the root isn't there? The tenth is an interval. When I say a third, when we say a third or a fourth or a fifth or sixth, we're referring to a distance. Okay. And to have a distance between 2 points, you have to have 2 points. And as far as we're concerned, our starting point is always the root of the chord we're talking about, not the root G. It could be, see, we have G. So we're going up 10 from G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we get a tenth. That's a tenth. This is a third. We're going to do fifths next. Verdi, which you're very familiar with fifths because, we're doing a lot of rock stuff. That's what's next. But then what we're going to do is we're going to do a 12th. We're actually going to take that fifth up an octave because that's how we're going to build these chords the seventh chords in G that we're going to do. Okay. Don't worry. If I'm going too fast, we're going to slow it all down and we're going to start working on this. So like when I got to A and I go up a tenth from A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's A and C. So that's the root of this chord and the 10th. Yeah, the root section. No, I'm starting on the root. Yeah. These are octaves. Okay. So now we're going to do a fifth. Okay. So we're going to count up a fifth on G. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And that's our fifth. So here's our root and here's our fifth. And that's a standard. Very, 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 very common chord in rock guitar, in guitar in general. Now, the thing is, we're going to use the exact same fifth. And this is just, again, no quiz on this at the end of the week. Okay, no quiz. But this is called a perfect fifth. What's the one by Muse? I'm trying to remember the name of it, Kathy. I'll pull it up on iTunes. It's a really pretty song. I mean, I love Muse. Really, he's so amazing. I can't think of his name offhand right now, but let me pull up that record. I'm not going to play it because I'll get trouble, but I can find the name of it so you know. 3 albums. Let's see, which one was it? I think it was Absolution. Okay, just going to hit return. Time is running out. Black holes, resistance. Falling Away with You, maybe? Oh, dang it. I won't be able to. Kathy, I'll try to remember. I'll listen to it later or something because I can. Yeah, it's very classical sounding music, but really good sounds and drums and vocals and everything's great. So on this, with the fifth, and it's called a perfect fifth, but again, don't worry about, you don't need to know why it's called a perfect fifth. The first 6 scale tones, G, A, B, C, D, and E, are all going to have the perfect fifth above it. So it's real easy. We don't have the major and minor so much as we did when we did the thirds and the tenths. We're just going to go. And then when we get to the F sharp, we're going to do a diminished fifth or 2 notes like that. That's the only one that occurs. You guys did not see me touch my face. I can't believe it. Take a sip. I'm trying to give you opportunities. I actually probably need to touch my face more than normal if Jim is still watching. Jim Cavell's still watching because he's got a fever, or he did, and he needs to keep hydrated. One of the things that this doctor said, of course, if we all know to get Gatorade, right? Gatorade is great because of the electrolytes, I guess, and you need fluids. But he said make sure it got real sugar in it, which is, I don't know if that's hard to find or not. I bought some when this all started beforehand, and double sip. And Verdi, you have to go 14 minutes between cigarettes now. He suggested, or he says, you get the ones with real sugar because the sugar helps give you energy, and anything that you're burning off, it helps you get energy that you need. Let's see. Oh, that's true. You're looking at you're looking at the fingers of my left hand. Okay, so let's go ahead and make these power chords. Going to put our first finger on G. I call them power chords. It's another name for a root and fifth. Okay, so we have first finger on the 3rd fret of the bottom string, and on the very next string, 3rd finger on the 5th fret. And this shape, we're going to just move up the neck. Okay, we're going to move up. We're just going to play the G major scale with the first finger. And until we get to the F sharp, nothing's going to change. So we have what I would call G5, A5, then to B, 7th fret, then to C at the 8th fret, call it C5, B5 and C5, D5, okay, so we have a D and a 5th, E, so we're at the 12th fret now, and the 14th fret, 14 seconds, and then go to if you're playing an electric guitar or you got a access on your acoustic, we can go 14 and 15. So this is the only one that's diminished. Okay, or we could play it down here at the second fret, second and third fret, which is totally cool sounding, right? And you could even make G, like if you want, just for fun, you can do. It's kind of cool sounding, you know. It's not in the key of G, but you can make any fifth diminish by just lowering that top note down a fret. Okay. And if you want to practice that just like I did it just now, do that. That'll help you remember your major scale and help you see the notes. And I should have been saying this from the get-go, but try to think about what note you're playing, at least on the bottom, as you go up. Because remember, my goal is to have you all memorize your fretboard. But it's not. That's one of the things. Once you memorize it, you'll never have to learn it again, which is nice. Whereas there's some things about guitar you're constantly learning new things. But learning the fretboard is not something that you'll ever have to learn again once you know it. But you can learn it in chunks. You can learn it in actual, usable pieces. To just sit down and memorize it verbatim might be a little bit on the tedious side, and you may not have great retention on it. I know that I'll memorize something a lot more if I'm using it. It's just like reading music. I mean, I just did a session the other day and I had a lot of music to read. I mean, you can see I got a stack of charts here and I had to get this, all done in a couple hours. So, being able to read quickly comes in real handy. So, but I'm using it, so I retain it. And at this point in my life, I think if I didn't read a note of music for a year, I'd probably still be able to read. That's just because it's it's like learning how to read a book. It's basically at this point. So what we need to do is we need to. I'm going to write out the fifths, the root and the fifth here. So you're going to have that, and then you guys can write it down as well. Get the multiple layers of learning going. I'm going to use my number 2 to make the dots. So the G and the D, G, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. I'm going to have to add a couple frets here, but A, B, C, and then out here, G. And then I'm going to loop them. I'm going to get my number 1 pen out, and I'm going to loop these little mini power chords. And it looks awful. It just looks awful. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is, it's just not the best way to notate this. When AJ does his, it looks better than mine, I think. He does like two different colors. So these 2 notes are kind of tan, and then these 2 are blue, and these 2 are tan, and these 2 are blue. It works a little bit better. I think his methodology works. I mean, I've seen it done like this in books before, but it's usually done by a professional scribe. Okay, so what we did to the third, remember we took the third and we went up to the 10th. We took the third up an octave and created a 10th. We're going to do the same thing with the 5th, because the chords we're going to play, are going to be based on the 6th string. So the root's going to be on the bottom string. Remember, we did the C chords, these here. I'll hold this up if you want to take a picture. Wait a minute, where is that? I think I got it somewhere. Here it is. These were based on the 5th string. So the roots were on the 5th string. The 5th was on the 4th string. The 3rd was on the 2nd string, and the 7th was on. So you had all 4 of the notes, the root, 3rd, 5th, and 7th, in the middle 4 strings of each one of these chords. Okay. So what we're going to do here. Yeah, a bigger power chord would be like that, and then G5. Yeah, it's a shorthand. I came up with that without ever seeing it before. I just started calling G5 back in the 70s, and now I see it all. Then in the 80s it became normal. I don't know. I'm not taking credit for G5, but I know I called things like a D4 is a D triad with a 4 added, which is different than D sus4. Anyway, we're going to get into that. Somebody asked about, are we going to talk about sus chords? And we are going to talk about sus chords. So what we're going to do now, though, is we're going to take that fifth up an octave. Okay. So where it occurs, because when we build these chords today, they're going to be on the fifth string, fourth, third, and second string. So we're going to skip the fifth. We're going to skip the fifth string, but here's the G major, for example. Here's the G major 7 chord, which we're going to get to in a second. Okay. But we have to learn where the fifth is, and we have to learn where the seventh is. So the fifth is on the second string at the same fret as the G. Okay. And if you want, you can play it like this with the first and second finger. Remember, we have to change when we get to the seventh. But other than that, this is a 12th. Okay. So this is fifths. And we're going to write out fifths. Boop. Okay. And then we're going to write out 12ths. G sus, exactly. Now, is Chris here? I didn't see Chris. Oh, there you are. Oh, that's a different Chris. Yeah. So play this with me. We got G, and we're going to do this 2 different ways, just for fun. We got G and the D up here. So the fifth is up there now. So that's really a 12th. Okay, watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the 12 is the same as the fifth. They're both D notes. Okay. Oh, good. Well, this Chris, this is a different Chris. He said his comments were deleted yesterday. He was like, "Did I offend you?" And I'm like, "I didn't delete anything." So I don't know. That's unlike you. You can't. Well, I don't want to say you can't offend me, or you all will start trying. But I'm not easily offended. You can't go out on, like, you can't start a YouTube channel and yes. Okay, Jim just offended me because he knows I hate 2 exclamation marks. 1 or 3, but not 2. You say, oh, dang it. Okay, so here we are at the 3rd fret. Yeah, you don't start a YouTube channel if you're easily offended. Let's put it that way. Okay, and then we go up to the 5th and 5th fret, and then we're going to be both are on the 5th fret, still on the same 2 strings. We're not going to change strings. Okay, and then 7th fret, that's the B. So technically, this is also a B5. You could call it a B12, maybe. Sounds like a shot, but actually, you could feasibly. I could call this a G10, and this would be an A minor 10 and a B minor 10, but that's kind of confusing issues, I feel like. So we go to B, 7 and 7, 8 and 8 is C12. This would be D12 at the 10th fret, and then we go to 12th fret. We get an E and a B, which is an E in its 5th, or in this case, it's 12th. And then we can go down here. We have to change now. So notice I got my 2nd finger on the 2nd fret and my 1st finger on the 1st fret. The same 2 strings though. And then you could just go. So if you wanted to, you could play it with these 2 fingers. So that when you got to the tritone, or the minor, the diminished 5th, you could just have your 1st finger ready to go. Make a big exercise out of it. Now, here's the other way I want to do it. Because we're going to need to be able to bar potentially today. So why don't we try, if you can, barring at the 3rd fret and grabbing those same 2 strings. I'm grabbing the bottom string and the 2nd string from the bottom. And so now I'm still getting the same exact notes, but I'm doing it with 1 finger now instead of 2. So then go to the 5th fret, do the same thing. 7th fret, 8th fret, 9th fret. I'm sorry, what did I say? 8th fret. No, 8th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret. Might be kind of hard. I mean, some of these, because where that B string kind of lands right here, where you've got a little crease in your fingers. So it might be tough you might have to use your 2nd finger on top of it to push it down even harder. And then when you get to this one, you can go ahead and make it a 2-finger chord. There's no way to really, I mean, I guess you could bar it like that. That's what you do in Hawaiian music when you're playing Hawaiian lap steel. They're really good at angling the bar like this to get different intervals. I can't do that very well, so no, yeah, it's okay. But at least you're barring it in the right way. Well, I'm not asking you to bar this way. I'm asking you to go this way, and then you can finish. I've actually never done that before. Yes, David. David's back. Yes, I am wearing pants. That's the other game. So the drinking game, and then is Tom wearing pants? Yeah, that's a beautiful chord. That's like a G Lydian kind of thing. But I'm actually playing F sharp and C, just 2 notes. Oh, Verdi. Let's see what. 3rd fret chord sounds good if you go. Yeah, pants confirmed. All right. I'm sorry, I'm missing some stuff. Yeah, B12 is a vitamin. But I've never seen in music somebody say B12. I'm trying to think if I've ever seen the 10th written as a 10th. I don't think so. Like A minor 10th, I don't think you'd ever see that. They might say A minor no 5th to imply a very, very simple chord, but I've never seen it in notation, so it's not anything you really need to. Oh, hey Ira, you're welcome. I should be thanking you guys for watching. This is, of course, if I had 0 people watching right now, I'd probably still be doing this. And once we all go back to work, cheers. I don't know what I did. Did I touch my face? I don't see. You caught me, and I was totally unaware. Okay, so let me write those out, and then we've got this page kind of complete. I'm gonna need I think I printed another one, so because we're gonna need it, because we're gonna do the 7ths next, and then we're only gonna have one way to do that. So we've done the 3rds and the 5ths 2 different ways, and this one actually will be easier to do the looping thing, because they're practically right on top of each other. And again, remember the 5ths, when we're doing the 5ths in the key of G or any major key, 6 of them are going to be the exact same interval, okay? And then only one of them, the one built on the 7th note of the scale, is going to be different. And you can see that here, really obvious. Oh, shoot. Let me give you the link for this so you can download this and print this paper, okay? Kathy, you didn't do that, right? If you did, I missed it. But I have a folder that I've been putting that stuff in. So let me just open that folder up. Oh, let's see. Desktop, live stream stuff. That's what it is. Okay, so this the inlay one. So it's this one. Oops, no, I forgot. I have to open it and then copy and paste it this way. So that is this sheet. Okay, that link will take you to the page where you can print this. I would save that for future reference. It's great, and it's that site. You can probably delete some of the URL and get to the first page of that site. And there's other versions of this and other. In fact, this is the one without the inlays. So the one I posted there has the little dots on it. This one doesn't. Let's see. Do I need one of those? Oh no, I have another one. So I have it. This is what I sent you. It's the one with the inlays. But this is great. Like I said, if you really, really, really want to learn this stuff, teach it to someone else. If you know someone who's starting out on guitar, if you sit down with them or Zoom or Skype with them, you can totally, show them some of this stuff, and you will have a very much greater and deeper understanding of it. And like I said, these are 12ths. So, okay, if you want to do a screenshot of this mess, you can do a screenshot without my face. You're always welcome to crop out my face. I know most of you even have a blue dot right, right here, so that you don't even have to look at my face. You can just see my guitar. You got a big blue dot right there. Okay. In fact, I should sell those on my I should sell those on my YouTube channel, like a felt blue dot that just sticks on your screen, so you can put it right over my face. All right. So now what we're going to do, we've done the scale, we've done the thirds, the tenths, the fifths, and the twelfths. And again, the reason we did the tenths and the twelfths is because those are the notes we're going to be using when we make the chords that are going to, the seventh chords that go up the neck. And remember, we're going to learn 4 different seventh chords. We're going to learn a major seventh, minor seventh, dominant seventh, and a minor 7 flat 5. And all 4 of those are completely movable, can be put at any fret, and they become a new chord. So essentially today we're going to learn 4 shapes, but you're going to learn 48 chords. Yes. Should we play? Yeah, you could do. Oh, as far as the spread fifth goes, I missed something. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's definitely the harder something is, the more likely my thumb's going to be here, or even as far down as here. If something's super easy, I get lazy and I just hook my thumb around the neck. Like all guitar players, they're basically lazy. So that's, yeah. So if something's lazy, you can see my thumb. Like if I can do something, no problem, you're going to see my thumb's just going to start sneaking over here, and I should draw a little face on it. Hello. But if something's hard like this, see, when I was doing those bars, it wasn't easy. And I put my thumb back there, and that gives you a much more like, grabbing claw, hello. So you won't see my thumb if something's difficult. Does that make sense? I remember you shared some chords. Let's see. C, D, and E minor. Yeah. And here's the thing. The chords, I'll play the chord progression that we're working towards right now. Okay. I'm going to play the chords right now. This is a 4-finger chord, no bar, the G major 7. The A minor 7, we can either play with a bar, or we can play like this, with the second finger getting this note and the third finger barring 3 strings. We only need 3 strings there. Or you could technically play it with 4 fingers like this. Okay. Same with the B minor. It could be played this way, or this way. I've seen this a lot, because if we're playing with our right hand, if we're using fingers instead of pick, you're going to be grabbing specific strings. So you don't need to make a note on the 5th string or the 1st string, because you're not going to be playing that string. And then the C chord is exactly the same as the G chord. And like I said, we're building these as we go right now. We've already got, because we've done the G scale, we've done the 10th, and we've done the 12th. We've got 3 of the 4 notes we need to make it a 7th chord. Okay, the D7 one, you can play like this. Could be a 4-finger chord, or it could be a bar chord. And then E minor, bar chord, or you can play like this. So you can play with 4 fingers. And then the F sharp minor 7 one, F sharp minor 7 flat 5 one we did yesterday. Remember I showed you that cool E minor progression. This is a beautiful progression. This is a beautiful chord. So that's what we're going to get to today. G Lydian. This, yeah, that's kind of like this because of the C sharp. That would be the key of G Lydian. Yeah. I always think of everybody has a different melody that comes to mind when you hear that. Like you can think The Simpsons, but I also think it's a bad key for me. Maria, I just met a girl. Leonard Bernstein, West Side Story. And I think several songs in that musical are in the Lydian key, which is a great key. The E minor. Actually, Abhishek, you can put you can play E minor 7 that way. Yeah. Sip. What did I say? Did I touch my face again? Cheers. I think you guys are punking me. No, it doesn't work if you touch your face. That's not how the game is played. But okay. Like a good neighbor. Yeah, State Farm is there. Yeah, I think you're right. Stay over there. Like a good neighbor, stay over there. Oh man, my sister sent me a picture of a guy. He started something about if you want a face mask that's going to keep people away. And he was wearing, it was like grinders with a with a skid mark on it. It's like, oh man, this is so gross. The worst. Okay, so now we need to do. We've done the root, the third, and the fifth. Now we need the seventh. So we're gonna write out. Oh well, we can just do this here. We can do it on the guitar first. Okay. So again, we're gonna play the root is here. Put your first finger on G, and I'm gonna go ahead and have you finger it how we're gonna. Well, we'll do it this way: G, and then third finger on the fourth fret. So just this one fret up, but on the fourth string. So skip a string, one fret up. That's a major seven. What is that? What song? No. That's Star Trek. It's major seventh. I can't think of what song. Can you think of a song that goes like that? Yeah, reverb is, oh, somebody looking to buy a guitar. Yeah, reverb's not bad because it's kind of like, in a lot of ways, like eBay. eBay was kind of the beginner of the rating each other kind of thing, but also Uber. Everybody is really protective of their perfect 5-star rating. So a lot of times, if you're not satisfied or something happens, then they go out of their way to keep that positive relationship. So I think reverb's a really good place to go because you're basically dealing with, reverb is just a bunch of guitar stores for the most part, maybe some individual sellers, but it's really mostly you're dealing with guitar stores. I bought several things on reverb. Okay, so there's our major seventh. Okay, so there's G and F sharp. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we go to the A, the minor seventh is here. So they're both on the same fret and skip a string. So 6th string and 4th string, and both at the 5th fret. And that's the A minor. That's the A. It's technically a minor seventh. Go up. And then go up, just slide that up 2 frets to get to the B minor one. And then we're going to go back to the G shape we did here. So we're at the 10th fret and the 9th fret. And the strings don't change. We're going to be on the same strings. You use your thumb and first finger. And as soon as you pluck, you can put your finger back on to get ready to do the next one. Okay. Then the D7, the D1 is going to be same fret. So 10 and 10. And then 12 and 12. And then 14 and 14, or 2 and 2. So we kind of, in the G, starting on F sharp, we kind of 7 notes. We go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then, so G, and, oops, wrong. I'm wrong. So basically, you could also think that this is a G major scale harmonized with a 7th. Okay, like we harmonized with the 3rd. Really pretty. I love that sound. So now we have all the elements we need to make our chords. We have the root. We have the third. Let's see. The next one, actually, the next note in our chord is going to be the 7th. Then the 3rd is going to be that we're going to use a 10th for the 3rd, and we're going to use a 12th for the 5th, and that's how we're going to make our chords. So, you know what? And I'm going to skip this one. We did this last time with the C chord. We're going to go right to the 7th chords. Okay, we're not going to do it because I love these shapes. You know, I love these shapes. I mean, I just love playing in those shapes. Okay. I love playing, but it's not as much fun in the G because you got a bar. Oops. So, and you can play without a bar, but I mean, I'll play it sometimes, but I really prefer to play it on this string. So We're just going to skip right to the seventh chords, okay? And like I said, we're going to learn 4 different chord shapes, and they're all movable, so you're going to learn essentially 48 chords. But first, we have to write out the seventh that we just did, so you have that. Get my number 2 pen, write out my G scale, and then I'll write out the seventh above it. So I'm just writing out that G scale like we've done every time. And is AJ here yet? Has anybody seen AJ? It was funny because AJ he's been doing yeoman's work for me, doing the making these look pretty. But it was funny because he got the G scale and he got the 3rd and the 10th perfectly right, but just the scale by itself was it was like totally all over the place. And I'm like, what happened? Something must have gotten moved. Did I iron my shirt? I look so fat. I lost weight when I think I had COVID. I think I had it, and I lost like 15 pounds. We're all supposed to gain that's why they call it the COVID-19, because we're all gaining 19 pounds. Okay, so and then the seventh is here, 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 and I have to add a thing, but there we go. And then I can circle these so we can see them. But these are the sevenths. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get out this paper. So if you have a blank one of these, go ahead and get that out, because that's what we're going to write the seventh chords on. Okay. And I will put the link here. I have to click on it. What is this? Oh, these are my. Oh, weird. Okay. We didn't do warm up. We haven't done warm up in a while. This is the one. Copy. So here's the link for this one if you want to print one up fresh right now. You can always do this in advance too, but I don't mind sharing it with you. And this is great. If it's a completely different. I just found these. I kind of did a search to try to find the best ones I could find for our purposes. And this is a different website. It's a different one. So they have other, printable things. And then of course the music staff and tab paper one. I think it's a print. What is it? What's the one I use? It's called staff paper. So it's this one. This one here. Blanksheetmusic.net. Okay. So this is where I go if I need tab paper or staff paper. They have chord diagrams there too. That one's a great one also. Okay. So get ready. Here's the sevenths. See that? So we have 2 different kinds of sevenths. The one on G and C, those are major sevenths, and the other ones are all minor sevenths. Just so you can hear the difference between a major seventh and a minor seventh. If you take the G major seventh one and make it a minor, you can really hear the difference there. Like when it's like with the thirds. Those minor thirds don't sound very minor because they're in the context of a major scale. They don't sound minor. But if you play G major, major third, and then you play G minor third, then you can realize, it is minor. I don't know if it's the same for you, but that's, I really hear the difference between a major and minor when I just do major and minor based on the same interval or based on the same root. Okay, so that's all of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to do one chord at a time. So if you have your sheet here, we're going to do the G chord first. And so there's going to be some things I'm going to write. I'm going to write the name of the chord on top. I'm going to write the fret that it occurs at. And then we're going to have 4 points. 1 note on the bottom string, and then on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd string, we're going to have 3 dots. And they're going to be different for the different chords. And then I'm going to put down here the fingering. I'm going to put down fingering, just 1 fingering. I don't really have enough room to put multiple fingerings down there, but we'll talk about that. Basically, it's the minor sevenths that we're going to have the biggest issue with. So the first one's G triangle 7, 3rd fret. And I'm not going to cross off the strings that we're not using. If you don't see a note on it, then we're not using that string. Oh, David. Tom Sharp, what did I do? Tom sharp the F. Did I not sharpen F somewhere? Deirdre, thank you. Oh, call me Deej. DJ. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. I'm Tom sharp the F. What did I do? I don't know. I missed something. Was it on one of the sheets? Oh, G major 7. Yeah, G major 7 has a sharp, an F sharp. Yeah. So this is a G. That's the F sharp right there, but not in the name. There's no F sharp. G major 7 has an F sharp. G major is just a triad. G major, when I wrote out the G major scale, yeah, I'm still not seeing it. I'm lost. When the student becomes the teacher. I did not produce any of Believe. Sorry. I didn't play on, I don't think I played on any track on Believe. Okay, so the way I'm going to finger this, so this is a G major, G triangle 7, okay? The way I'm going to finger this is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's really the only way to finger that, okay? So let's try to make that together. Let me grab my guitar. First finger on the 3rd fret of the bottom string, second finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, okay? So there's our 12th right there. There's our 5th. And then we put the 3rd finger on the 7th, which is the F sharp that you guys are all aching for, okay? And then pinky on the B. Now, here's the thing. G major 7, you probably can almost, if I quizzed you on this right now without looking at paper, you could probably tell me what are the notes in a G major 7 chord. Okay, armed with that information, G, B, D, F sharp, you could probably go through here and tell me which ones are which, because not necessarily because you know this is an F sharp and this is a B and this is a D, but maybe because you know this is the 7th, which would be the F sharp, and that you know this is the 3rd, which is the B, and you know that's the 5th, which is D. And that's a very pretty chord. I did use this chord in that song I wrote with Pooh Bear, who's Justin's writer. Let's see. Let me get a clean sound loaded here. Give me 1 second. But we intended to write it for Justin, but Justin didn't end up recording it, so a group called Nico and Vins did. Nico and Vins are from Norway, and they had a hit. Am I wrong? They had a big hit with that, and this was on like the record later after that. Let me get rid. See, that's too gainy. Get rid of the compressor. It's a very pretty chord. Okay, that's G major 7 chord. Here's the C major 7 we learned the other day, right? And I've been using a lot of major 7th chords in a lot of 7th chords in pop writing. I'm hearing it a lot more, so I've been using it a lot more. But in okay, so that's a D minor, A minor, and then I did B flat major 7 with a sharp 11, but I slid it up to the 5. So it's a sharp 4, sharp 11, whatever you want to think of it. But that's yeah, Verdi, that was the C one. Yep. Oh, okay. Yeah. So let me do the typewriter tab. Okay, that would be 3X 443X would be the G major 7 that we're doing. Okay. And Chris, good to see you there. I did not delete anything. I don't know what happened to sometimes YouTube does things that I don't have any control over. And I saw your pictures of your guitars too. They look great. I want pictures of you guys holding your guitars. What I might do is I'll start to trying to grab those, and I can make one post that has a lot of our pictures on it. Okay. Hey, Kay, thank you so much. God bless you. So there, yeah. So that's the chord I'm playing. If you want to think of it, like in the typewriter tab kind of vibe. Okay. Now the next chord. So here it is on the diagram. And again, I'm not going to cross off or use X's. I'm trying to keep this as neat and clean as possible. So the assumption here is that you're using your fingers. However, I'm using if you see my first finger, I'm deadening with my first finger. I'm getting one note with my first finger, but I'm also deadening the top string. Doesn't matter, David, either acoustic or electric. Your favorite guitar if you want. And then I'm deadening the fifth string too. So if I were to strum this or pluck each note, nothing. So I could totally, I'm gonna get rid of this. I could totally strum it if I wanted to. But a lot of times when I'm doing jazz, I'll use my fingers for chords, and then I'll have a pick in my hand ready to go if I need. Not that I'm a jazz guitar player by trade, but okay, that's all right, Verdi. You don't have to. You don't have to. Okay, so the next chord we're going to do is basically what we want is the fifth fret of the sixth string, the fifth fret of the fourth string, the fifth fret of the third string, and the fifth fret of the second string. Basically, that's our minor seventh chord right there. Super duper easy. When we learn drop two chords, so here's ultimately what we want for the A minor 7, okay? This is what we want, 5, X, 5, 5, 5, X. That's basically what we want. How you get there, see, I can't strum this because I'm going to have this note and I'm going to have this note. Now, that note's not a bad note. Ultimately, when we go to our drop 5 chords, this is one of the A minor 7, or one of the minor 7s, just the top 4 strings, barred. But we're not going to talk about that yet. We're taking this A and we're putting it down 2 octaves to here so that we have a fuller sounding chord. Okay, so you could either play it with the first finger like this, and you can go ahead and put your third finger there. Ultimately, that would be a full A minor 7. But we just want to get these 4 strings. Or you could play it like this with the second finger and the third finger. That might feel more comfortable. I see a lot of people play that. Almost makes more sense when you're coming from this to go to that. Okay. Or the other way you could play is technically if you wanted to make it a 4-finger chord, you could do that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write out the one with the bar, and I'm going to put a bar there. But ultimately, I am going to, is this the one? This is the one. So this chord is A minor 7, and I'm just going to write out the B minor 7 while I'm at it because they're the exact same chords. In fact, I'm going to write out the E minor 7 too. I'm going to write all 3 of them to save some time. So A minor 7, B minor 7. Here, let me do this. Boop. I'm wearing pants. All right, so here's A minor 7. Here's B minor 7. And then I'll write the finger. So this is at the 5th fret, this is at the 7th fret, and then this is gonna be C, D, and here's E minor 7 is gonna be here. I almost wrote it in the wrong place. But this one's gonna be at the 12th fret. All 3 of these are identical. How you want to play them. In fact, I could technically write, this one I could write out. Since I got 3 different fingerings and I have 3 different chords, I could write it out with the 3 different fingerings. But I don't want to confuse too much. So I'm just going to say 1, 1, 1, 1 like this, okay? And technically there's a bar back there, all right? I'm using the skinny pen, though, just because I don't want the bar to overwhelm the notes. I want you to see the notes. Okay, and, this is real important to me. I want you to think the bottom is the root, then we have the 7th, and then we have the 3rd, and then the 5th. That's how it's voiced. That's called the voicing. That's called the voicing. So you can play this is a G chord. 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 They're just all different voicings. So again, this is one of those terms that's not going to be a quiz at the end of the week. But when you hear the term voicing, somebody says, what voicing are you using? Like they can't figure out, like, what did you use for that? And people ask me that all the time, because I tend to use weird voicings just to kind of mix things up. And so that's what they're referring to. But this is just that. This is the voicing for all of these chords. All of these chords have the same voicing. The root is on the bottom. The seventh is on the fourth string. The third is on the third string, and the fifth is on the second string. That's the voicing of these chords. Okay. And there's no quiz on that. You're not going to get. I'm not going to ask you what is a voicing. Okay. So you don't need to understand that. But I may use the term like 10 more times in the next 25 days. Is it really going to be 25 days? I'm sorry. Well, let's see. What's today? The 10th? 11th. See, I have no idea what day it is. It's Saturday. I will be here tomorrow, Easter. The boys are coming over today for dinner. We're going to do dinner today because the weather is going to be nice, and they're dying to sit out in the sun in our backyard. So, we are. I'm going to make my guitar a desk. We are, so we're going to have dinner here. Nothing fancy. We're not doing any like big fancy Easter dinner. And then tomorrow it's going to be cloudy and cold and everything. So they didn't want to come over. So, my point being that I'm not going to be doing anything tomorrow. So we might as well, because church is pre-recorded. I'm just going to be home. So I'm going to go ahead and be on here. So I expect my numbers to be lower, to be honest, because I think everybody's going to be, everybody's going to be probably entertaining family. So I totally understand that if the numbers are lower. In fact, tomorrow, didn't I say I was just going to do more like questions or whatever, and maybe stories? If I do stories, Diane's going to be mad if she's not. Diane, are you going to watch tomorrow? I don't know if I have any stories. Oh, you know me, I have a million stories. Whether they're true or not. Okay, so the C one at the 8th fret is the exact same as the G one. 8th fret, C major 7. Okay, I'm going to use a skinny pen for the frets or fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, I do recommend that you try to teach this to someone. You may teach them wrong. I've taught wrong stuff before, so it's not a big deal. You can always correct it later. So there's so far what we have. G major 7, the 1 chord. The 2 chord is A minor 7. The 3 chord is B minor 7. The 4 chord is C major 7. And the 6 chord is E minor 7. So far in 5 of the chords, we only have 2 shapes. We're going to have 2 more shapes for the next 2 chords because we got 2 more chords. So D7. So just to kind of reiterate what we've been working on the last 2 days. Here's D, the root, 10th fret. Okay, our 7th is here, and that's on a D chord. It's a C. You don't need to know that, but if you do, that's great. The 5th is up here with our 3rd finger on the 2nd string. So all of those notes are all at the 10th fret, and then we're going to put our pinky on the F sharp. Don't want to miss any stories. Everyone. Oh, I don't have any I got a magic trick, but I need someone to do it with. So, and I guarantee you, well, I could get Beth to do it, but yeah, I'll show you I'll show you the 2-finger voicing for, and I'll write that down at the bottom here. Okay, so this is the D7 voicing. So it's 1st finger, 2nd finger, 3rd finger, all on the 6th, 4th, and 2nd string, same fret, 10th fret, and then the pinky is going to reach over and get that. Here's our 3rd, our F sharp, and totally, it's a 7th chord. Okay, now no quiz on this, all right, but let's get back up to the D7. That's the 5th, right? So D7 sharp 5, you sharp a 5, you sharp a note, you go up a fret. Up a fret meaning closer, the string gets shorter. So here's D7 sharp 5. You've heard that before. Here's D7 again. Here's D7 flat 5. All All right. So I'm not going to write D. Let's do it in G. I'll do it in G. There's G7. So here's G7. This is not part of this key, though. G7 would be in the key of C if we were in the key of C, but it would not be in the key of G. G would have a G major 7, not a G dominant 7. So, okay. So it's a third fret, nothing, third fret, fourth fret, third fret, nothing. Okay. So there's G7. Okay. G7 sharp 5. Check this out. This is going to be a great exercise. I should come up with some of these chord exercises that I used to do. G7 sharp 5 would be 3x, 3, 4, 4x. Okay. And then go back to G7, 3x, 3, 4, 3x, and then go to G7 flat 5. Check this out. So I'm writing these out so you can see them here, because the more ways you can have something notated, the more likely it is that one of them is going to, oh, dang it, I wrote a sharp sign instead of a 3. The more likely you're going to understand it. Okay. So you could make an exercise out of this. G7 flat 5, G7, G7 sharp 5, G7 5, or G7, G7 flat 5, G7, G7 sharp 5. It's a great exercise. You see how much my fingers have to move? I mean, that's not easy. And I know you're like, if I want to, I could go. If I did that, that would be a G13. That's a very simple voicing. I use the term voicing of a G13 chord. And G13 to G7 sharp 5 is very easy. Once you have G13 under your fingers, G13, this would be a very simple version of G13. And we're going to get into this more so you understand these names. But basically, it's G13 because it has, where are we? Because it has an E in it. See, the 13th note is E. Lo and behold, that's an E. So remember how you tune your guitar? It's 13th. Yeah, it's a definitely. I am trying to get your hands to cramp. But I mean, I fully expect it to look like this when you do it. Sorry, I could be really mean right now. But basically, you're going to be like this. You're going to be on the G7, and you're going to like have to move each finger very, very slowly to get them there, and then back. You could just even go from one chord to the other, like G7 to G7 sharp 5. Yeah, probably. Although this isn't a bad chord for short fingers because it's pretty compact. It's not like I'm having you play a G7 sharp 9 chord like this, where it's a little more spread out, or like the G2 chord that would be like that. There's all sorts of crazy chords we could do. This one's a little weird, but actually this one feels really good in the hands of G7 flat 5. So, okay, that was an aside. I just showed you the D7. So now I have to write it out, which is, where did I? Oh, here it is. So I'm going to write out the D7, and then we have one more. And then we're done at 1 hour and 13. This is pretty good. You know, when I used to teach, my hour lessons would definitely go into, 1 hour and 20, which you can totally imagine. I don't know. Cruzy, are you here? Cruz, are you watching? I told Cruz to watch. Let's see. It's not bedtime though in London. It's 8:14 in London right now. So I don't know if Cruz is watching, but I told him to watch. One of my students. Hey, Beppe, is Beppe here? Oh, Beppe, you're here. Yay. So the D7 one, I fingered 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay, so there's our first 6 chords. We got one more. We've got the F sharp minor 7 flat 5. F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Yeah, I know that's the hard part about doing these video lessons. I can't really sit here and work with your hands and make you go, oh, if you do this. And even if I were doing a one-on-one, it would be very difficult. If we were Skyping a lesson, it would be very, very difficult for me to kind of make corrections. And that's why I really think ultimately many of you are studying with guitar teachers. So that's really, really good. And that's, that will help you get better fast sometimes. I mean, I had so many students that didn't get any better week after week. They didn't practice anything I told them, and they kept coming back, and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, why? If you're not interested in playing guitar, why are you taking lessons? Practice. But again, for me, one of the best things you can do is jam with other people, or play along with jam tracks. That's also kind of similar to doing that. But there's something about being in a room with another guitar player that gets the competitive juices going, because guitar players it's a bad combination of emotions, but they're both competitive and insecure. And just that, the best guitar players tend to be that. And so I find that it really inspires you to kind of work hard so that next time when you get together, you've got something to impress. Ciao, Beppe. Someday I'll be back in Italy. I guarantee it. Okay, so here's F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Oh, I guess I can make, we did this one the other day. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. Any of you wearing headphones, I apologize. Okay, that one was the one that was kind of like an A minor chord, but we put an F sharp in the bass. So basically, if you think of it as an A minor chord, you're going to have to move the second finger to the bottom string to the F sharp, and then you're going to move the third finger up to the A string or D string, and then you're going to move the pinky in there. So it ends up being, this is one voicing. Okay, I'm going to write it out here because it's much easier than trying to write it out at the 14th fret using this method. F sharp minor 7 with a flat 5, also AKA half diminished, F sharp half diminished. Okay, I think that's right. Yep. And it's a beautiful chord though, and you can move it. It's totally movable if you have no open strings in there. So it's totally movable. Okay, totally movable if, but that's the 7th, and you can play it up here at the 14th. So I'll put 2 or 14 here, 2, 14, and I'm sorry. Somebody said show the 2-finger minor 7 chord, because you're right. I see a lot of people use that one. Okay, so this is F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Ugh. I should have used the skinny pen. I should have been a doctor. No. I could never have gotten through medical school. This is no way. Okay. So that's that. And the two other ways, here's okay, so you can get ready to take a screenshot. Here's all 7 chords. So we have 4 different types of chords. We have a major 7th. Oh, let me get my finger off that. And that's the voicing on top. They're all the same voicing. In other words, the root's on the bottom, 7th is on the 4th string, 3rd is on the 3rd string of all of them, the 5th is on the 2nd string of all of them. So we have 2 major 7s. The G and the C are major 7s. Okay. 3 minor 7s, A minor 7, B minor 7, E minor 7. And Chris, this is where you got some of yours wrong on your sheet that I was looking at. Then the 5 chord is just D7. All right. So the triangle thing only shows up on the 1 and 4 chord. And in the key of G, that would be G and C. And then the last one, that hieroglyphics I wrote down, is F sharp minor 7 flat 5, sharp 5. Okay. And I'm shaking. Yes, that's kind of that's the point I'm making, Dennis, is that my penmanship is so bad it's like a doctor's penmanship. So let's see. Okay. Oh, the 2-finger. So the 2-finger minor 7 chord was this. So I'm playing the bottom string with my 2nd finger, and I'm laying my 3rd finger down. It feels good, and you can strum this one because you're muting that 5th string. And you can tell it's easy because my thumb is right here. If it were hard, like I was doing this one, I would have my thumb back there. But you can tell it's an easier voicing, or not voicing. It's the same voicing. It's an easier fingering. Okay, that's another terminology which we all are familiar with. So let me write that out for, I forget, who was it? Was it Verdi that you said that one? I forget. No, oh, the high E string I'm muting. Yes, Verdi. But I'm playing the low E string. But yes, I basically when I bar with that third finger. But here's the thing, on that chord you don't have to mute the high E string. The high E string is the same as the low E string, so they're playing the same note. You would just end up with a 5-note chord instead of we're doing 4-note voicings right now. But that top string on every one of these, because that's the root, would be the same as the root. So you could technically, if you got that note, you could play it, you could play it, you play here. And if you're strumming, you'd have a little fuller chord. But somebody wanted me to write out this other voicing. So it's going to look the same, this other fingering, but like I'll do it for like here beat, no, I won't actually, I'll just put minor 7. Could be anywhere. And so, so what I'm doing is I'm using my second finger on the bottom string and I'm using my third finger to bar. Boom, like that. So that is also another voicing. So let me put my pen down and I'll hold it up one more time so you guys can just screenshot. This is basically, and if you can print this up and write this exact thing out yourself, you'll have another layer of learning and understanding that will probably come from that. Okay. So we've done great. You guys are doing great. So the next thing we're going to get to in chord theory, I think what we'll do, not tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll just goof off. Leftover sushi. I'm dying for some sushi. The sushi restaurant I've been going to, they do take out. I just haven't done that yet. I was working on some TV stuff. Jim, you're not there. I sent Jim. Jim, I sent you the first one I did. My friend Jim was on earlier, but what key is this in? Basically an F minor. So I won't put solos on it. There's no reason to put solos on it. Just fun to jam over. Because generally on the TV stuff, and I talked about doing that. I could do that tomorrow too, but I'd have to use my laptop, and I wouldn't be able to. The comments, I'd have to you'd see me going this a lot, trying to read the comments a little bit bigger on this screen. But that way you could see what I'm working on. But generally when I write music for TV, I don't put solos on it. I might put a lick or two. I might do like slide stuff like, let me see, hold on a second. Like, so I might put some slide stuff on it because that makes it sound kind of like a car commercial, which is what, these are car shows mostly, the car, Street Outlaws and all of those shows. Any spinoff from Street Outlaws, that's I write music for. Yes, Christopher, correct. Yeah, you're correct in your paperwork. That's exactly right. Major, minor, minor. And that's the formula for a dominant 7th chord. So, but the reason I don't waste I mean, it's fun to solo. I could probably do a pass. If the song's 2 minutes long, it'd probably take me 2 minutes to do a solo on it. I wouldn't, I'm not going to probably make any mistakes playing over something so simple as that. But they won't even use it. Like, I mean, when you submit the mixes for these things, you do various mixes, and it'll be full mix, which is everything. Then then if I did a solo on it, there'd be a full mix, no lead guitar or something, or no solo. I mean, and then it might be full mix, no keyboards, or bass and drums only, or things like that. Well, the thing is that they've got dialogue on these shows. So the solo stuff they tend to not use that, because anything played up high, soloing, melodic stuff is going to get in the way of dialogue, and you won't be able to hear the dialogue. So they'll either have to turn it so far down or just not use the track. And I'd rather have them use the track than not. But if it's a race or something like that, or if it's a panoramic scene, or if it's a montage, then they might use a solo version. And I've got a lot of them. Yeah, I'm a show off. There's a lot of times where they might use something like that. So, I do enough tracks. We've done thousands of tracks. I do enough tracks that have solos on them. They can find them if they want. Kathy. Oh, there you go. Full mix, no tom. Jim, have you been there the whole time? Jim is my writing partner, so he's the one that does all the full mix, no tom. Well, if that was, what that would sound like? Check this out. I'm going to play one that's full mix, no tom. So that's full mix, no tom. But anyway, so Jim, should I put a solo on that one? Covell? No sound. Yeah, there is no sound. It's because all of that is tom. So if it's a full mix, no tom, then there would be no sound. Tom mix, full tom. Yeah, that's exactly right. So those are the codes that kind of, yeah. Those are the codes. Yeah, it's boring. Those are the codes that kind of go with the songwriting thing. So I'm trying to think of trying to think of a story. I can hear the chords in my head, but you can't. I'm playing the chords in my head. Just basically trying to play in the blues in my head. That when you're jamming if you jam with others, like I've said many, many times, and I even have a couple of videos where I probably talk about this, but I have a couple of videos called Playing with Others. And my son Alex is in those. He'll be here in a few minutes. So when you're playing like the blues, one of the most important things you can do is to make sure that you play 12-bar blues. Don't cut off 2 beats. Don't cut off, add a bar. Don't, make sure, because I mean, there are blues that are less than 12 or more than 12. That's not the point. But basically, when you're jamming with someone else, you want to really be consistent, and so that they can jam along and solo and practice and then return the favor and play rhythm so you can solo. But the other thing is, you really want to, blues is one of those things where you really need to pay attention to when the 4 chord is coming, when the 5 chord is coming, the turnaround, all that stuff. So what you need to do is you kind of set the next chord up. I remember talking about stories. Diane, I'm trying to find. French was your first language. Wow. Well, it makes sense because your last name looks like it says French, but it doesn't. Um, my wife speaks French. She would say that she doesn't, but when we went to Paris, I would start conversations that she'd have to finish. I'd be like, "Bonsoir, comment allez-vous?" And they'd start talking. Like they knew I couldn't speak French. That was the thing about Paris is the great. If the French call the Parisians pigs because they're rude. But I never experienced really any rudeness in Paris. Everybody was really cool. But there were two things, try to make an attempt at speaking some French, like say bonjour. And then as soon as you say bonjour, you think you sound so French when you say it. And they're like, oh, hey, how's it going? but if you say, first thing you say when you walk into a store is, how much is that? They'll be like, pardon? Parlez-vous français? They'll pretend like they don't speak English because you're not even trying. That's the first thing. So you got to try, and then they just laugh, and then they speak English, and you're fine. See you later, Pepper. Go study. You got tests. Where Pepper's taking off, right? A sardine. Oh. Yeah, if you try, then they won't be rude. Exactly right. And the other thing I noticed too, and as a guy, it's a lot easier to do this than a girl, but I found that particularly Europeans throughout the continent, which is probably not going to be the case anymore, and that would be an insult. But if you touched them and put your hand on their shoulder or something like that, it would melt their hearts and they would love you right away. I don't know why, but it's just like that personal, like, thank you so much. They would just be like, anytime, come back anytime. So I've never found really any. The only time I encountered a rude French person was in the subway. What's it called in France? What's the subway called in Paris? The tube in London. The metro. Le metro. So we're down in one of the tunnels. The amazing thing about Paris, the metro. I mean, there are metro stops that are like 4 or 5 levels. And some of those tunnels were built like 150 years ago or some great, like in the 1800s. And then, they made them bigger for the trains or whatever. But, and so you go down and we were down on one of the lower ones and the power went out. Just the lights went out. And we're just staying there like, and the emergency lights came on. We're like, oh, crud. And then everything went back to normal. It was like 15 seconds. Then I went to the ticket booth and the guy just wasn't having it. He wasn't going to put up with my, I don't even want to say pigeon French. I had 3 or 4 words and I was trying to buy tickets for some reason, not from a machine, but from a person. And Beth had to jump in and rescue me, we talked about my friend Pee-wee and Michiko. Michiko's from, they're the Pee-wee's the bass player at my church and Michiko's the keyboard player at my church. And they've been married forever. And their daughter is Judith Hill, if you're familiar with Judith Hill. She was in the movie 20 Feet from Stardom. She sang backgrounds with Michael Jackson. She produced one of her records. She and Prince produced together in Minnesota. Anyway, Pee-wee and Michiko, they go to Japan quite a bit, and a lot of times with Judith. And Pee-wee can't speak any Japanese at all. And of course, Michiko's from Japan, so she totally speaks fluent Japanese. And they'll be playing like at the Blue Note in Tokyo or something like that with Judith. And I always joke with them. I say, they go to a restaurant. Pee-wee only knows one word in Japanese. That's Michiko. And so he talks like this. I make fun of him, but he was like, Michiko, you know what I like. What do I want? Is what he would say at the restaurant. You go, Michiko, you know what I like. What do I want? So anyway. Okay. So let's see. We got the metro. Yeah, everybody got the metro thing. That was a quiz. Let's see. By Pepper. Oh, yeah. You had 4 years of French in high school. Good for you. Oh, she sent her picture. Okay, great. Yeah. So if everybody sends me to my Facebook page, I can do. Does everybody have my? I don't know Spanish really. I know a little bit. I don't know. Languages are tough for me. I should try. We should all be learning a new language in quarantine. Really, to be honest, l'escuela. That's probably the same word, right? Although with Google Translate on my phone, that's pretty amazing because I have been places where I went blah 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 blah, and then hit the button and then hold it up to them, and they're like, and then they record, say it, and then translate, and they're like, oh, okay, thanks, man. So there is nothing hanging from my nose, or whatever the question I asked. I don't know. Yes, anything you put "le" in front of makes it French. That's right, or "los español." Let's see. So, any questions out there? Any questions? Stories? I'm trying to think of stories. This one. This is a G&L. Okay. That's G&L stands for George and Leo. George and Leo were basically the founders of Fender. George's last name was Fullerton, and there's something that makes me think that he probably was part of like the Fullerton family that either donated land for the city of Fullerton, but Fullerton is where Fender guitars are made or were made, and still are. Some are made there, the expensive ones. And so George Fullerton and Leo Fender. And so Leo sold Fender, the Fender Musical Instrument Company, to CBS Musical Instruments back in 1964. So whenever they say pre-CBS Fender, that means a Fender that was built sometime in early 64 and before. I have no pre-CBS Fenders. Oh, well, I do. My lap steel, and I have two lap steels, and they're both pre-CBS. They're both from the 40s or 50s. And then yes, yeah, sure. Oh, right, David. Yeah, I'm sorry. You can play that minor 7 if you wanted to bring your thumb around. You could do that. Totally seen that. You could even bring your thumb around for all of these others. Jimi Hendrix did that a lot. So that's not an illegitimate way to play by any stretch. A lot of players do that. I see Eric Johnson do it sometimes too. So Hendrix would do it with this. He would do that. It's crazy. And Balalaika is played with the thumb over the top, which is funny. What was I talking about? What was I talking about? Shoot. I was squirrel. Squirrel. Yeah, the Diddle Looper is $99. I bought this one. Where is it? The Ditto 4. I have this one, which is really cool. This is a looper too. So if you want to practice and jam with yourself, you got two loops. You can change them, slow them down, do also reverse. You can decay. You put effects on. This one's crazy. This one's like the Ditto on steroids. I bought that. I've used it a little bit, but I kind of can do it in the box too. So in the computer. You looked up squirrel. How do you say that? I see French. That's the thing. Now here's the thing though. You do know a lot of words. You do know, there's a lot of words in English or in America that are French origin, like ballet. So ballet is ballet. And so now you know that if it's LLET, it's let, not let. So anytime you see LET or LLET, you know that it should be like chaperone, chateau. So many words that we use in the French words. Rendezvous. If you, at my band in high school, literally was called Rendezvous. Not a joke. I had a band in high school called Rendezvous. Cheers. And being that we were in Indiana, people would go, Renda's Vouse. What the heck is Renda's Vouse? But literally, I had a band in high school. Yeah, I'm going to have Beth, so everyone will know. Well, it'll speak it for me on. Doesn't the app do that? Doesn't let's see. Translate. So if I translate English to French, change that to French. Got it. Okay. Oh, and that's the cool thing. Have you ever done that with your Google? You guys probably have, but squirrel. Okay. So that's it. And then I can, yeah. So French. Oh, here we go. Okay. Sorry. Écureuil. Okay. How close is this? Écureuil. Is that pretty close? Écureuil. That's not how I would have said it. But have you ever done this with Google Translate? Like if I like right now, I've got it set to translate to English to French. So I can actually take a document, turn on the camera, and then aim at text, and it'll translate to French. It's like, are you kidding me? Or you can do it with signs. It works great. I don't know if you've ever done that, but you can take Google Translate, turn on the camera, and just aim it at something, and it will translate the sign for you. Au revoir. Yes. Bonjour. So yeah, there's so many words that either we mockingly say in English that are French origin, or we actually use on a soup du jour. So when you start reading, you can kind of sound out some of the stuff because it's very familiar. So, oh, I'm sorry. So we talk about the G&L guitar. This is I would call that kind of I think they called it an orange burst. It's a little orangier than a honeyburst. Honeyburst would be more yellow, I think. And it's a really solid guitar. You can see where I put the cotton back here, though, because the springs were vibrating and ringing into the pickup. So I put cotton back there to kind of keep that from happening. Anytime I would do a short stab, you could hear the springs. But not now because I did. So this is a legacy special is what this is. And I've had this. I bought this in 1997 to take it on the road when I was doing clinics for Maranatha because I needed a guitar that could kind of do the Strat thing and the rock thing. And I did like for 3 years, I did basically 12 clinics a year flying around the country. Got to go to a lot of places. I went to Toronto, went to Vancouver, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Miami, where else? New York City, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Sacramento. I don't know if I did Denver. Did I ever go to Denver? No. Oh, wait, we did one in Colorado Springs. It was fun. I mean, the cool thing is they paid us really well. We got a lot of airline miles. We generally flew on the same plane. We were all coming from LA. Yeah, no, French doesn't make any sense. The French intentionally just kind of do the opposite of what it should be because they just like being in their own little private club. It's just the French. And in Spanish, you pronounce every syllable. You pronounce every vowel, and so that's what's in Korean. When I was in Korea for Maranatha, I think it was 99 or 98. I went to Korea for like 2 weeks, South Korea, of course, for 2 weeks to do clinics and do concerts for Maranatha Music. And that first week, I taught myself how to read Korean. It's crazy. You're like thinking, no way, but I totally did. I'll show you. It's actually Korean they only have 22 characters per. I almost said per octave. They only have 22 characters per octave. They have 22 characters. So like, see if I can remember. I may have this wrong. Does anybody here speak Korean or read Korean? Bruce, what happened? Bruce. Oh. Dang it. I'm sorry, Bruce. So I think that's ah, that's ya, that's see ah ya, ya, oh sorry, o, yo, and you. So the first ah, ya, ya, o, yo, you. Now you would never have, these are all vowel sounds. That's 8 of the 22 right there. So when I was walking around, I'd see in English, I'd see Samsung, and then I would see it spelled out. And like I don't remember how to do Samsung, but what the Samsung would be written, it would look like 2 letters, but it's really 2 syllables. So they write Sam Sung. And so you would never have a vowel by itself. You'd have a circle with it. So that's why you see all those circles, because you can't have a vowel by itself. So it would be something like that. And this actually, I learned that at the hotel on the menu. It looks like a one-legged person and a two-legged person, and that's you, and that's milk. So you learn something. Yeah, Bruce, that's yeah, Jim, you've been to Korean barbecue, but on the menu every morning, I was having breakfast at the hotel, and it said "uyu" on it. And then one night, we were coming back from a late night gig, and I'm sitting in the front seat with a van driver, so to help them stay awake and just kind of talking or whatever. And they were very timid about their English, and of course, I was like trying to figure out this whole reading Korea thing. And we drove by a truck, and it said "uyu" on the side, and I said, "Oh, a milk truck." And he didn't say anything, and I went, "Oh, maybe it's not a milk truck." And then the next morning, our interpreter, she came up to me at breakfast. She goes, "You freaked out June last night." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You knew that was a milk truck." I said, "Well, yeah," I said "uyu" on the side. She goes, "That freaked him out." And then what they started doing was they started bringing me like all these, they write things down, or they bring me these programs, and they say, "Read this." And I would be like, Sam, I would slowly read through it, and they would just start laughing because they couldn't believe I figured that I like decoded their language, in like 7 days, but I didn't know what I was saying. I could have been saying, "I am a complete idiot" in Korean, and that's probably what they were writing down. And they're like, "Say this," and I'm like, "Okay, I'm an idiot." So that's probably what was happening. But everybody was really, really, really nice there. We had a great time there. I had fun. I, of course, forgotten all of that. But one of the things in Korea they don't have are mixed consonants. So like, Strahle was a really hard word for them to say because they didn't have STR in the same. German has like, you could have 17 consonants in a row, or what's the language? Icelandic, is that, or Reykjavik, I've seen, what was that one town? You ever see that picture of that guy walking down the name of the city? And it's like 400 letters or something. It's like, they just went, hey, let's break the Guinness Book of World Records for the longest name of a city. Yeah, exactly. Gary, I can, and so Strahle, they couldn't say it. So they would say sa ta Rayleigh, but they could say it fast enough so it could squish it. They could be like sa ta Rayleigh, sa ta Rayleigh. But they could not say straight. They couldn't get that. That wasn't something they could do. It's just like my daughter can't roll her R's. Yeah, the Chinese language is funny too, because like it's very musical, and so like a word that's flat is one word, and a word that turns up at the end, melodically, pitch wise, is another word, and a word that turns down. It's like the word for mom and dog, or it's just a pitch change at the end, something like that. It's all fascinating. It all, to me, just goes back to the Tower of Babel, where it's like, just all of a sudden everybody spoke different languages and couldn't understand each other. I just think it's fascinating. They should have called this app Babel, or Babel Decoded or something. Yeah, good thing my first name is very Korean friendly. So Tom, Tom are all sounds that they would have. I was in Japan. Japan's harder because Japan has their own symbols and they use Chinese symbols. So I didn't even try to learn any Japanese when I was there. I learned Japanese. Now, see, that's the thing though. Japanese and Korean, Korean and Japanese phonetically is very, very similar to English. I feel like arigato, domo arigato. Many things in Japanese roll off the English tongue very, very easily. That and then same with Samsung. Many words. I mean, just think of any companies you can think of that are Korean and that's it. If you saw it written, you could totally decipher the written language very easily. In fact, my understanding, I'm not, I didn't study history, Korean history in South Korea when I was school or anything like that. But I think the king developed that language like 500 years ago because he wanted everybody to be literate. Part of the reason why it's such a smart culture, and they do academically, they do very well. And the other thing is they call their country chosen, which I think is a great thing. And when I was there, because I was working at churches, there was, of course, a very, very heavy burden for North Korea, and they all had distant or not so distant family members in North Korea. And so we would pray every night. Toyota, yep. We would pray every night for, so you can see Korean. What word is that in Korean? You can see how it's, so each one of those things that looks like a symbol, it's not. It's two symbols together or three symbols together. It's like if you were to write out Tom using English letters in Korean style, it would probably look something like that. So it would almost look like a symbol all by itself, but it's not. It's three symbols in one, and it's one. Each symbol would be a different syllable in the word. So it actually made it really, once you figured that out, it was like, oh, that's cool. So Korean. Oh, that's Korean. Yeah, but how do you say it in Korean? Because it's probably, so we say squirrel with two syllables, so it must be a three-syllable word. You going to make me pull that up? Okay, so we're going to all hear what squirrel sounds like. So I've got to change, let's see, change this to Korean. I'm going to find Korean. Okay. All right, so let me see if this lines up with what you have. Actually, mine looks different. Let's see.
청설모.
But that's three syllables. You hear that?
청설모.
I'm not going to try to say it, but it's three syllables, just like there's three symbols there. Well, yeah, this is what I got. Can you see that? Yeah, there we go. See how it's three syllables anyway, or symbols. Squirrel morale. You guys. My goodness. DBD play. Yeah. Well, and there's, it's true. What were we watching? Oh, we were watching a show, an Indian show, kind of, it said it was a comedy, but it wasn't making me laugh, but it wasn't because I wasn't getting the humor. It's just, I don't think it was a comedy. It was more of a drama, maybe a dramedy. And I forget what it's called, but it was on Prime. And it's about a guy who is, I guess, an engineer. And he's from the big city, but the only job he can find is in this rural area. So it's kind of a fish out of water tale. It was pretty funny. It was beautifully filmed. And so he's in this little village in India, and he's, he wants nothing else but to get the heck out of there. And I think what's obviously going to happen is he's going to fall in love with the place. But that's probably what's coming. But there were occasionally, they're speaking in their dialect, Hindi maybe. And I mean, there are many, many dialects in India, but it may have been Hindi. But every now and then they just drop right into English because they all spoke English too. And they drop into English and they do almost a whole sentence in English sometimes. And then there'll just be, words like, I don't know, theory of relativity. They would just say that in English rather than say it in Hindi. So Oki has they definitely have their own language. Syncap. Yeah. We'll know squirrel and every. Well, I used to. I don't know if you remember that worship song. For those of you who have been going to church for a while, what's one that it's not the title? Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord. Um, uh, Dang, what was that one that went? Yes, Lord, yes, Lord. I would translate that into different key or different languages, like in Espanol, it would be "si señor," not "señor," but "señor" for Lord. Si señor, si señor. Japanese was high shoe, high shoe, high shoe. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord. So it's not like high shoe. And then I did Tagalog because we have a lot of Tagalog. We have a lot of Filipinos in our church. I mean, I can't remember that one. It was a long time ago since I've led worship. So, but it was always fun because I always felt like it was fun to teach it to the church, and it's like, yay, represent. It was always one of those moments. So, and French, I never did French because there's no French people. French people don't go to church. No, I'm just kidding. Trading My Sorrows. Boom, Jim Lee. Thank you, Jim. That's the song. I knew it wasn't Yes, Lord. Yes, the song wasn't called Yes, Lord. Trading My Sorrows. Kind of a cheesy worship song, but it was a lot of fun. The church really liked it. And that was when I was leading worship, my main goal was to engage as many people as possible, not to pick songs that I liked. So I didn't see Andrew on today. And Cruz didn't make it, but I'll talk to Cruz later today. Or maybe he's on, he doesn't want to say anything. But if you're here, Cruz, hi in London, stay safe. Anyway, so I have nothing. What are we talking about here? Hey, Kathy, are there any questions that I've been asked? It's do, right? DOO, like do. So I said we do. Yeah, and then Spanish, Chinese would be another one. See, what's yes in Chinese? I know ni hao, which is hello. When you pick up the phone, you say ni hao. Bye, Pepe. Tagalog, not Tagalog. Thank you, Tagalog. Yeah, my friend RJ is Filipino, and he named his he created a guitar pedal. It looks really cool. It's distortion. I think it's got slap back, and there's something else on it, and it's called Sus Mary Joseph or something like that. It's something you say when somebody scares you. Sus Mary Joseph or something like that, and it's basically you're saying Jesus, Mary, Joseph, but it's like a contraction of that, and then he named the pedal that. He's like, yeah, RJ Ranquil, which I always forget. He always pronounces my name wrong when he on his live stream, and I'm sure it's Ronquillo, but I think. The way you say, yeah, do, yeah, do means God, yes. Like Deus. Deus is that God in Latin? I don't know. So let's see. Yeah, RJ's got a great. He wasn't on this morning. I logged on to see him do his live stream. He's always on Saturday mornings. He wasn't on this morning, but I saw him last Saturday. But yeah, he's great. He's a really good YouTuber. He does great gear reviews. Something I don't do. People send him pedals because he's so good at doing reviews. So let's see. Deej, how's it going? Yeah, he also is really good at teaching slides, stuff like that. I had my one slide video. I did slide for beginners. Let's see. Maybe tomorrow we'll do we'll warm up. That's one thing we can do tomorrow. I gonna have to have some stories ready though, because my mind is a blank right now. But I can always start with my most humiliating this or most embarrassing that, or I know I did. I did slide. Tips for playing slide standard tuning. Oh, 10 slide tips for beginners. Here we go. Might get an ad.
Everyone
Ad.
to learn guitar, but very few actually.
What the heck? What was that? Oh, I just hit the wrong button. Okay, wait. 10 tips for slide. I'm gonna have an ad again. Nope, no ad. No ad. Okay. Sorry, I clicked share and it sent me to Tumblr for some reason. Okay. So here's the link to that. If you want to see my 10 tips for slide beginners. Oh, what finger? I always use my pinky, but a lot of players use their third finger. A lot of people use their third finger. I don't even know if my third finger will fit in this slide. I'm afraid to, for obvious reasons. I don't want to turn this into an episode of Dick Van Dyke Show or something. But I always use my third finger or my pinky, and then I do a lot of muting with the right hand. And I'm in standard tuning right now, which means just eat at Denny's, get bad eggs. EADGBE. And so, yeah, I basically do it. I'm mute behind if I can. Sometimes I will fret behind, like Sonny Landreth, who's my favorite slide player. And what I've noticed too, Derek Trucks is amazing. He will push down sometimes, which is really cool. Like get that, you can hear the frets, which was always a no-no. Like don't push down. Never do that. And it's like, and here's the best slide player in the world, and he does it. And I'm like, oh, that's dope. It's especially like if I'm in G. Now I want to do the flat third or something, or like I want to do the blues tone. He will do that. He'll like push down and go. And I'm like, that is the coolest sound. I'm like, why didn't I ignore everyone's admonitions and do the exact opposite? Let's see, what show did we, Michael, what did you refer to? Oh, Dick Van Dyke Show, yeah. How old am I? I'll be 59 in July. So, and the Dick Van Dyke Show is great, but there's the episode where Laura gets her big toe stuck in it's, I think, early first season. It's on their honeymoon, I think, right? They're on their honeymoon, and she gets her big toe stuck in the faucet of the tub. It's a classic. It's a classic episode. Yeah, and it was in reruns when I was growing up. So like, I probably didn't see the original airings of those episodes, but Dick Van Dyke's one of my favorites. I mean, I'll tell you a show that I can watch. I still watch. In fact, I watched 2 episodes last night. Is still funny to me is Cheers. Just cracks me up still. And I have it memorized. I've watched every episode. And I saw an interview with Ted Danson the other day, and he said he doesn't remember filming any of those episodes. And it wasn't like he was drunk. He just like, it was just a job. It's like, yeah, I guess that's true. I don't remember like specifics about a lot of sessions I've done. Any sessions I've done over at Jim Covell's house, I don't remember, because all I can think about before lunch is that, oh, we're going to be going to In-N-Out. And then after lunch, I'm in a food coma. So I don't remember anything about our sessions. I'm trying to think, Jim, if we've had any crazy sessions. I remember Jim is one of the few composers I ever worked for that had me play with an orchestra. And that was scary as all get out. I was very nervous. God bless Jim for letting this, a total greenhorn. Yeah, right. Only the In-N-Out is memorable. That's right. I was total greenhorn. I was, at least I was in my own little booth. It was for what was it for, Jim? Do you remember what that? It was like a Christian TV series that we did, TV show that you did. And so the orchestra was in a big room, and then like the percussionists were in their own, and I was in my own room playing guitar. And the nice thing is, Secret Adventures. That's right. The nice thing is, generally in the session, you've got enough time to kind of look over a chart. Jim, here are some of the charts I did for Brian Miller the other day. But you can, if you're getting ready to read, you kind of have a chance to look over something. And if it's thematic, a lot of times there's a lot of redundancy. So once you've played the theme melodically, once or twice, you pretty much got it down, and then you start to recognize the theme. You start to see the theme as almost like a word or a title or a phrase, and then that gets a little easier with time. But I've only done orchestra like sessions maybe 5 times in my life. I mean, I've played with a lot of orchestras after the fact or before the fact. I just did a session on oud where, like, the day I was recording my oud here at home alone, they were recording an orchestra in Budapest, and I wasn't playing with them. They put the two together later. Yeah, Leave It to Beaver I watched a lot as a kid, but for some reason I can't. It doesn't make me laugh today. Coach was good. I forgot about Coach. Yeah, Coach was a good show. Oh, you liked the character Coach. Yeah. There was also a show called Coach, which wasn't bad. Yeah, I mean, I know, Jim, you love The Office. That's your favorite. And I love The Office. The only problem with The Office and Parks and Rec is that it makes everything's so awkward. So it's a little hard. There's a show that's pretty dark. It's a British show called The Effing End of the World as We Know It or something. That show's pretty good, but it's pretty dark, and it's there's a lot of cursing in it and everything like that. So I can't quote it on my channel. And my daughter actually turned me on to that one. I'm a big fan of the sitcom. For one thing, I think it's because I have a low attention span. It's hard to sit through a whole movie. A short attention span. And secondly, as you all know, I can talk for 2 hours, which actually more than that. Madam Brown. Yeah, Bruce, God bless you, man. We'll be praying for you. I'm so sorry to hear about your wife, and we'll just, now we know. So Happy Days, Brady Bunch. Oh my gosh, Little Rascals, Three Stooges reruns. Yeah, Happy Days was great. I love those shows when I watched them as a kid, but Brady Bunch we were watching the other day, and it was just, oh, the acting is so bad. Cheers is just such a great cast. And the same thing with Office. I feel like their cast is great. Parks and Rec is the same thing. I think the 70s show is actually a very well written show. I really like the 70s show. I've been watching that now. I probably have seen every episode of that show. The Office was originally a UK show. That's right. Allo Allo, is that a show? Yeah, this cringiness is exactly the show. And then the looking at the camera and everything like that. I remember seeing a meme a while ago when The Office was, I think, still on the air. It had been on the air for 7 years or 8 years or whatever. And it was a meme, like, it was just a screenshot of like Michael looking at the camera, or one of them looking at the camera and they're like, when is this documentary going to come out? Because the whole premise is that they're filming these people and they're like documenting this why you would document a paper business. That's part of the joke, I guess. Is like, why would you make a documentary about this? I mean, Parks and Rec makes some more sense, but yeah, 70 show is Seinfeld is great, and there's a good ensemble. And there was a great example of, you took someone like Jerry, who's really not an actor, and you surrounded him by 3 really good comedic actors, and he just be yourself and be who you are. Kind of like, well, I'll tell you another one that's really, really good that I never got into. It's kind of like with music. I never got into Hendrix when he was alive, or not that Ray Romano's dead, but I never got into Stevie Ray Vaughan until after, post-mortem. But after Everybody Loves Raymond went off the air, I just would catch it on reruns, and I would, you'd sit there and you go, and I swear to God, that show, like I told you before, when I was writing scripts, they say basically a minute of airtime is equal to 1 page of script, just on average, typically. So if you have a 30-minute show, it's going to be 30 pages. I swear, I think Everybody Loves Raymond's about 5 pages. That show is just like 60% of that show is them waiting for people to stop laughing. And they're just making faces, and it's just a reaction. It is really, really funny. And that's one of those shows where I find myself laughing out loud. It's a pretty darn, it's a really well written show. And I've seen some of those people interviewed. In fact, I met one of them at my son in his band. Let's see if I can find that video. I'll find that video. See if I can find it. He was on the Marie Osmond show. So we went to a taping of the Marie Osmond show. My son was on with his band, and the producers, the writers of Everybody Loves Raymond were guests. So I heard them, and then afterwards we're kind of hanging out on stage, and I got to meet them, just say hi or whatever, but it wasn't anything more than that. But that was actually what got me into the show. Now that I think about it, because I hadn't really, they were talking about the show and they made it sound so fun. I was like, oh, I've never really gotten into that show. I should watch that. So let's see if I can find Savannah band. Marie Osmond. I bet you. Marie Osmond. I bet you. Yes, there they are. Oh my gosh, 2013. Oh my gosh, there's Alex with the hair and the glasses and the scarf. Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna love this. So this is my son Alex, his band, and he's still working with Savannah. And the other guitar player I have, Alex plays at my church, and so watch that. It's pretty funny. And what's hilarious is that we went, Beth and Emma and Jack and I all went and sat in the audience. And Marie comes out, Marie Osmond comes out beforehand to warm up the audience. And Jack is like, let's see, in 2012, is that what that was? 2013. So Jack would have been, let's see, he was born in 94. So he would have been 19 years old. Yeah, 19 years old. She comes out and sits on his lap, on Jack's lap, and say, "Did you like older women?" Marie Osmond is cracking us up. So anyway, so check out that. It's cute. And Savannah's a great singer. That actually is a great song. They were a really good band. And my friend Kook signed them. Kook's the guy that introduced me to Justin Bieber, and I brought Savannah and Alex to meet Kook, and Robert's so neglected. Ooh, did I neglect Robert? Who's Robert? Sorry, I'm just catching up here. Oh. Family Matters. Oh my gosh, I haven't watched Family Matters. Is that the one with with Urkel? Family Matters is Urkel, right? Yeah. Oh, Robert. Yes. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. And he's great. He's hilarious in that show. He is just great. He's so jealous of Ray, and it's just everything is that's a great ensemble, all of them. And that's a perfect example where Ray, he's not an actor, he's a stand-up comedian. So he just kind of has to be Ray. And so everybody else can kind of act around him. It's like, it's like you're putting on a show, you like singing, and so all your dancers around you that know actually how to dance, and you're just going like this. Screen cap. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to go. It's been 2:12. I'm trying to keep you guys out of trouble, but I'll see you tomorrow. I will be here tomorrow. I think we'll take a break and just kind of do stories, or maybe I'll just play some music or something. I don't know. You like it when I solo and jam, so maybe I'll do some of that. I don't know. I could, and that was one of the things I did before that I think is really good when we were talking about daily lesson number 1 starts on the Cage method. And that, when I was playing over that, F minor blues, I'm seeing different, like the C shape version of a minor chord right here. When I hear it, I'm seeing the A form, things like that. When I'm down here, I'm seeing the E form. So sometimes playing and talking through what is going through my head when I play something is always a good thing. So, you can kind of get inside the head of someone who's playing, but I don't know. I probably won't do that. Smooth jazz for the singles. Yeah, that's true. You could have your ham dinner with some smooth jazz. Yes, Jim, Do you want me to go get you some In and Out and bring it to you? You're quarantined. I would totally, I would do that for you, right? I would totally do that. Although by the time you might be a half a bag of fries though. They're going to be half gone. I might have to get both of us a meal, and I'll sit outside and eat mine, and you can sit inside and eat yours. I may do that tomorrow. For you. Anyway, you got a lot of people there. I'll talk to you later, everybody. And we'll pick this up tomorrow. And we did the G, so we're going to continue. But on Monday, we're going to go to ninth chord. So we're just going to go another minor or another third up from the seventh, and we'll find our ninths. And then I'm going to show you some ninth chords. We're probably not going to harmonize. Well, we'll see. But all the ninth chords we won't use. Let me put it that way. We've got 7 chords, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But there's some of them, the naturally occurring ninths are not ones you would ever use for the most part. Wouldn't happen. Okay. So we'll talk tomorrow. God bless you all. I really enjoy this. Thank you for being there for me. This is not for you. This is for me. I really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a great Easter tomorrow. Or if not, if you're a-religious, agnostic, atheist, just have a great day. Just relax and be in nature if you can. Okay. God bless. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Ending stream. I'm leaving the chat up.